This time on Cherry Picking, we paint correct the Mustang. And it broke. And then it broke again. That's right, today we're doing a paint correction of sorts, as much as you can do, on my 69 Mach 1 Mustang. Now, if you've watched any of the other videos on this channel on this car, you've seen that it had a pretty rough appearance, and for Power Tour I went ahead and painted the hood that was on it, gave it its traditional black Mach 1 hood treatment. And then I put a shaker hood on it that was already a black hood that I did spray paint that now looks terrible. But I never touched any other part of the car paint-wise, and it always had this weird silvery haze, and I was never a fan of it. My plan was to always correct it somehow in one way or another. So today, what we'll try to do at least, is to correct some of the paint, get off that silvery haze that this car has, and then fix some other little things like hood trim that needed to be done, and the starter, because my starter broke and finally kicked the bucket. And then spoiler, it's broken again. That's why it's sitting here. But let's go back to the past and let old Aaron tell you what's going on. And well, guess we'll get into it. Well, welcome back. Yeah, today, I don't know how it's gonna go so far. I don't even know what I'm gonna say in the first few seconds of this video, but I'll start with this. My luck sometimes is just unparalleled. And by luck, I mean bad luck, obviously. Why would I have any good? I was in the middle of filming another video. You probably may or may not have watched it. If you didn't, go check it out. Of me getting my dad's 1985 Ford Econoline 350 box van, big old truck, van, whatever you want to call it, up and running. Was in the middle of that video and kind of gotten it running, and it was all great, and was gonna go get some gas and decided I needed to pull out my 69 Mustang because it had been sitting for a few days because family was in last week and I just didn't use it, and so I kept it out back for a few days, and well, it was dirty and I wanted to pull it out, wash it up, no big deal, something I always need to do every once in a while. And well, all was fine. I pulled it out, I washed it. Well, I sprayed it down, you know, no soap or nothing, but I washed it. And then, well, I tried to start it, and it kind of started, and I went back to the key real quick, and then heard a conk, 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 and kind of grenaded my starter, I hope. I hope that's all I did. All right, this is old reliable, besides the fact that I may have grenaded the starter into about 40 million pieces. Doesn't matter, it's my old reliable. I need to fix it. Let's get under this thing and fix it. Oh, but also this makes me a little bit more upset because, well, I'd like to do this my way, and it's going to force me not to, and I'll show you why. So this is the starter I would love to put in this thing. Let's take a look at it. The box is, you know, don't judge a book by its cover, or whatever they say. Nice in the package. Bunch of bubble wrap. Let's just unroll all that. And look at that. That nice, brand new, never used, just kind of sat and got wet a little bit, no biggie. Brand new PowerMaster XS torque starter, high torque starter, mini high torque starter. Great. Only problem is it's for an FE. And I was saving this for my truck, which will not have an FE in its final form, maybe. I don't know, maybe it will. Honestly, I'm not gonna make promises at this point, but it's for an FE, and I don't have a nose cone to swap on this. So, can't use that great, brand new, literally perfect for this type of thing starter. Oh no, we don't get to use that. And although I would love to, because it'd be super nice to put a mini, lightweight, high torque starter, because of how annoying starters are to deal with on this car. No, no, no. Oh yeah, even says on the side of the box for $390, $427, $428 FE only. Nope. Instead, we got this guy. Oh, geez. It's covered in cat hair, dog hair, and not even entirely sure if it works. Pretty sure it's for... Actually, now I'm questioning it. I I don't even know if this is for small block. It should be. Well, we'll find out. Let's jack this thing up and swap this starter. Really not what I wanted to be doing right now. Just, you know, not really. Oh, I'm just laying in ants. But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And there's water everywhere. Oh, that doesn't look too bad. All right, let's get some tools. It actually doesn't look too bad. Definitely done a lot worse. Oh, that's loose, so, you know, that'll be fun to deal with. This is actually quite a bit easier than an FE, since it's only 2 bolts. FEs have 3, and they're in the worst possible spots. Probably should take off the inspection cover and double check that the flex plate is fine. Got it, there we go. So if you look in there, you'll see there's some pieces missing that aren't supposed to be. Yeah, that's our problem right there. But not only that, if you look carefully at the nose cone, we actually, if it'll focus, cracked the whole nose cone right down there. Yep, there's a crack right there and right there on the nose cone. So, yeah, like I said, this starter actually looked great. I mean, it's old, but it's not like that old. It's newer compared to this one, which definitely is old. And gotta check if it's even the same, because this is different. Oh yeah, this is way different. This just has, what is this for? Okay, this is definitely not small block Ford, or if it is, it's the wrong thing. I don't know what that's for, but it ain't this. So, I kind of had to break down and buy a starter because, well, I didn't have any. I don't have any small block starters. So I went and bought the cheapest one I could find, turned in the other one as a core, and about ready to put it in. Took the inspection cover off, and unfortunately there's not a lot of room under there. But I was kind of hoping I'd be able to fish out the teeth, or that they would fall out from the old starter. But I don't see them anywhere, which scares me a little bit. So what I'm going to do, which is probably not the right thing, I'm going to go ahead and put this starter in, and then I'm going to start the motor, and I'm going to leave the inspection cover off, and hopefully I'm going to be able to hear if there's still teeth in there. And if there is, I'll turn the car back off and keep fishing for it. Or hopefully they kind of break down into little pieces that can fall out through the inspection cover. So let's throw this remanufactured unit, really is what it is, back in and see if it works. Well, unfortunately, pretty sure I just stripped our starter lead, so I think I'm gonna have to replace the starter lead. That's cool. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this thing back in, and I'm gonna unplug the coil wire because I'm actually just gonna turn it over first. I didn't hear any crunchy. That actually sounded really good, much faster than normal. So I think our old starter was actually dying. So I'd call that fixed. All right. Okay, so we got the new starter in, turned it over a bunch, didn't hear nothing. It'll probably make itself known very quickly once I start getting the car down and side to side. I guess it's time. We're going to lower the car back down and get back to what we're actually supposed to be doing, which is the hood trim and some other stuff. But we'll start this thing up, make sure it works, and get to it. Also, I went ahead and tightened up the exhaust because I actually had a leak that was formed when I put the exhaust back on after doing all the suspension. There was just a minor leak, and it was really annoying me. I did tighten it up. It didn't tighten up super well, but it did get a little bit tighter, so hopefully that seals it enough. I mean, it's still the stock donut, asbestos donut style, so hopefully it's fine. Anyways, everything's out from underneath it. Just drop this guy. Much better. we still have some serious lifter chatter. Ignoring that. Exhaust leak is not gone. It did not get better. It actually sounds like it got worse. So that's cool. Probably just take this thing around the corner real quick. Well, I still don't really hear anything, so I guess. Guess it's good. Okay, now that that's taken care of, let's keep doing stuff. Okay, rant time about reproduction parts. So I just spent probably the last, I don't know, 30 minutes, give or take, maybe a little bit less, readjusting this hood. When I put it on the first time, it wasn't perfect. It had some pretty weird adjustments. And this is a reproduction hood. Knew it wasn't gonna be perfect, not a big deal. This isn't really what I'm mad at, but I readjusted it. It's a little bit better. It's still kind of high on the back passenger side, but it sits really nice on the right side. Doesn't really matter. When this whole car gets painted, everything's gonna be blown apart anyways because it's missing parts. It's the front fender's in the wrong spot on the driver's side. So now I just have to readjust my hood pins, no big deal. So now I'm moving on to the front hood trim, which is where my excitement lies. So I went ahead and did what you do and ordered the cheapest possible piece of hood trim. And they're actually really cheap. They're, I think, $27 or so. And I bought this a while ago. It's the same exact one I bought for the other hood that I put on the other hood in order to have this hood trim. But once it got here, I realized, I knew from previous experience that it fit terribly. The aluminum is just, it's really cheaply made. This is it. The aluminum is pretty rough. I mean, this is what you get for $27. Realistically, I'm buying it for the hardware. And this is where my anger comes in. Because, oh well, I'm not even gonna use this. It fits like crap, but I'm not gonna use it because I do have my good original one that is actually shinier, even though it's been sitting in dirt and debris and lived on the car and it's got some corrosion in it. But it's actually shinier because the anodizing held up better and it looks better even though it's got some, you know, fits the car better. Doesn't matter. So basically I bought the $30 one pretty much for the hardware, which this is the hardware. Only problem is, if you get close there, do you see any nuts in the hardware? My last one came with the molding and the nuts. The molding clips, retainers, and the nuts. This one, for some reason, didn't come with the nuts. And they are kind of special. They're very particular. They have a washer built into the nut, and they're a very small size. They're 11/32 size. And I don't even know what size the thread size is, but they're small, and I really don't have them on hand. So, kind of needed them. And so I had to go steal them off my other hood. Anyways, I'm gonna get this hood trim on. I'll catch back up with you when it's on. All right, and we got our hood trim on. There it is. As you can tell, this side of the hood is really low still, but if you look down the line, this hood has a little bit more curve to it, and it's still high back there, so it could use some tweaking still. This side's not too bad. The trim is just tight, and yeah, I guess it's a little bit lower now. It used to be perfect, but back up there, it's perfect. The shadow definitely makes it look a little bit more low than it is. Well, maybe it's about a 1/4 of an inch. But the hood trim makes a huge difference. Very much completes the front end and makes it look less incomplete. So, moving on to other stuff. Now, here on Cherry Pickin', we haven't exactly had nice paint jobs on any of my cars. In fact, none of my cars so far, except for the wagon, I would say, have even remotely close to a nice enough paint job to warrant caring about it. The wagon is probably the closest thing we've got. It's patina and I clear coated it, but I really don't take care of it probably how I should be, although I still need to cut, buff, and wax it, but that's a whole nother story and that'll be another vid. But this 69 Mustang that I have, that is kind of my daily driver at the moment, well, it looks rough. And it looks rough for a couple of reasons. Mostly because it was repainted multiple times in its life. And not only was it repainted, but it wasn't repainted super well the times that it was repainted, back in the late 70s, early 80s probably. And since then, it's really just been sitting outside in the weather. So it's turned into this hazy, really faded, almost a silver color, which it is silver jade, but silver jade is more jade than silver. So it's pretty rough, and I want to do something about it. Now, if you'll remember, I have talked about this car and the fact that it has been in an accident before. It was clipped in the front, and I think that around that time is when it got repainted, and this is what we have here. But basically, the goal for today, besides fixing my starter and other trim pieces like my hood trim, I want to see if I can get this thing back to better than it is. Now, I'm not going to get it back to the silver jade, obviously, because this car was in an accident and there's Bondo everywhere. If you can't tell, there's Bondo in the door here. This whole door is got a skim layer of Bondo, and the roof has quite a bit of Bondo in it. So I know for a fact there's a bunch of portions on this car that aren't going to come back. But I think I can do my best to try to get this thing back to sort of one color rather than 6, and at least get the silver jade portion to kind of shine up a little bit. And I'll show you why, and then we'll talk about how, and we'll get to it. Now, I've been wanting to do this for a while on this car because, well, this is very silver, as I said, and it's very pale. And this side of the car, although it's kind of hard to tell with the sunlight, it still looks silver jade. It's really rough, and there's rust in the doors, and it was wrecked at some point, or scraped alongside something. However, the reason I don't think this is the original silver jade is because I can see the old hazy stuff underneath it. I don't even know if it'll show up there, but that little haze is actually underneath this top coat of silver jade. So that's why I think this was painted again at some point. However, yesterday I decided to do a little test panel, and what I did here is basically the good old Comet Wash, popularized by David Freiburger. And I pretty much just lightly took a sponge and some Barkeeper's Friend, actually, because I don't have any Comet on me, but it's the same stuff, and lightly scrubbed, and you can see the difference between here and here. It's only about a few minutes time with some Comet. Now I went even further, scrubbed it just a little bit more, and you see this patch right here, which is a lot more green and a lot of metallic. I don't know if the camera picks it up or not, but that's actually the original silver jade underneath. So what we're going to try to do today is Comet Wash the entire car, and in certain spots that I know might not have a lot of Bondo, we're going to very carefully sand it down with some 1000 grit Scotch-Brite, the gray pads, on an orbital sander, and see if we can get most of it back down to that original silver jade. And the spots that have Bondo, I won't go too far. I'll probably stick to just the Comet Wash, so that this thing looks a little bit less silver and more jade. So let's get into it. Now, if you haven't done a Comet Wash on one of your vehicles yet, it's relatively simple. I did it on the wagon, and done it on my truck, and I've done it on probably 2 or 3 other vehicles. It's a good way to get all of the grit, grime, and the top coat of hazy, just worn paint off. It basically skim coats it because the Comet acts as a very light abrasive, a little bit less abrasive than straight up sandpaper. So yeah, you don't want to do it on a nice car, but a car that's had an old paint job that's a little bit hazy, well, it'll help. And it even kind of takes some rust off, which is what it did to my wagon, because even though most of the surface rust that really bled through stayed there, some of the little spots where it was starting to be on top of the layer of paint, those spots were cleaned up and it made it look a whole lot nicer. But it's pretty simple. The biggest issue with doing a Comet Wash is that it gets your paint everywhere, and it will run down, it'll get all over my tires and my wheels and glass and everything, and you just got to give it a good wash after. But pretty much it's as simple as wetting your surface, which we're going to just do this quarter panel right here. We're just going to wet it down. We've got just a regular green Scotch-Brite sponge, and we're just going to take some of this stuff, which this is Barkeeper's Friend, it's the same, you can use Comet, whatever, and we're just going to dump it on there. Mine got wet at some point, so it's clumping up a bit. I actually wet it even a little bit more, and then it's as simple as just scrubbing it. That's all you do. Just a lot of elbow grease, but just after a few seconds, you'll notice very quickly that a lot of the shine and haze, or the haze is being cut off and the shine is coming back. And then we'll spray it off, and look at that. All of that haze that is still right here has magically disappeared. So that's the Comet Wash. It's as simple as that. This car has a very, very light metallic top coat, and then it gets to a less metallic undercoat, and then under that is the original silver jade. So in the spots that I feel necessary, I'm going to go back and sand, but for the most part, we're gonna just start by Comet washing this whole thing and getting it back to a green color. It's gonna look a lot different. So throw up the time lapse and get into it. Well, we went ahead and got the whole thing Comet washed, and probably could have done a little better in some spots, but as you can tell, maybe or maybe not, but the silver is mostly gone now, and it's back to a very dull green, light green. And I even did some of the other spots back here. But yeah, it took away most of that silvering. There's still some spots that it could do better on. The roof is kind of hard for me to access. Just a little, and obviously this side was fine. However, all this was silvering, and the sunlight makes it look silver still, but it's definitely a lot different. And I probably could have done a little bit better on this fender. This one's definitely still got some more silver in it, but hoping that fender will sand out a little better. So now we're at the point, I'm gonna go ahead and try to very carefully, let's say, color sand this thing. We're gonna start in some spots, work on the sail panels and the side here, and see if we can get down to some better silver jade. I am seeing another layer, I think, of silver jade somewhere, so I don't know if it's the original, but there's for sure a layer on this guy. It could be from the same paint and just be baked badly, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm gonna go ahead and start sanding on this thing. I'm just gonna use basically water and these gray Scotch-Brite pads. They're about 1,000 grit, give or take, and we'll see if that does it. I'll go slow, and hopefully we can get some of that metallic silver jade back. So let's do it. We're gonna wet the surface here and wet our pad, and we're gonna try to keep it wet so we don't build any heat, but we'll just do this for a while. All right, and there we go. There's a silver jade. I got to be careful because I was already starting to burn through it a little bit, but I don't know if you can see that, but definitely a much better color of this silver jade. That's likely the original silver jade underneath. I was starting to burn through it a little bit, so I'll have to be careful of that. And there's some Bondo here. I'm not entirely sure how much Bondo is going to be on this car. I'm assuming a lot, so once I see it, I'll stop and I won't go much further. But there's definitely a gray primer underneath, so we'll just take our time and go slow, and we'll start with this quarter and we'll see where we go from there. Okay, well, this is where I'm gonna have to stop for today. Funny enough, this Scotch-Brite sandpaper situation really isn't working super well with the orbital sander. It actually is too fine, I think, and I'm gonna have to get actual sandpaper and work on it better, because this stuff's, it's tearing up too quickly and it's taken forever, longer than I would like. Obviously, I'm taking my time, but you can see some spots, like this is where some of that original stuff is. That's where there's still primer and stuff like that. And there's some more of the original stuff peeking through, but it's taken forever. It's taken me a long time to get down. Even here, you can see this is where the original silver jade is. And this took me probably like 10, 15 minutes just to get down to that. And to be honest, I think I'm just building more heat than I am cutting down paint. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a day or two off this and get some sandpaper, some correct sandpaper. And I'll try it again with sandpaper and see how much better it goes. So see you then. And skirt! I'm gonna stop you right there, old Aaron. We are not gonna keep sanding on this thing. The Comet Wash is all we're gonna do for today. Because, well, let me explain it to you. I got sandpaper, I started to sand on it, and it didn't get really any better. And, well, I had to stop, put a hold on that, push the brakes. Because I had to work on some other projects, like my wagon that got disc brakes and went on a road trip that was 800 miles. Oh, you'll see that next week, so I'll stop myself right there. But this guy basically got put on hold. But I went out to move it one day, and actually took it back near the hose bib to put some work on it. And then I had to move it back, and, well, the starter died. The brand new starter that I just put in this video that you saw, that was from the parts store, it's dead. So I've got to fix it. And not going to do it again in this video because, well, you know, content. Save that for another time. But here it is. I mean, as you can see, there was a huge difference between where it was before with its weird silvery haze and where it is now with its less silvery, more green haze. But overall, it does look more green, so I can't really complain about that. So the Comet Wash, yay, at least in this instance. Until this thing gets a paint job, it'll wear it with pride. So thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. YouTube loves that, and I love to hear that from you. So I hope you enjoyed, and well, will we fix the starter? Probably. Will you see it next time on Cherry Picking? Absolutely. See ya.